This
He
is really, I
Mm.
hope they realize the consequences and stop this foolishness.
Thank you for raising that, Justice, because baka mamaya ma-accuse tayo na ba't ang bait-bait nyo kay BBM? But like, yeah, this is a serious issue, and with the elections coming up very soon, I think people can do the 2+2, right? And figure out what's going on here. I mean, can we talk about the constitutionality part? We had the DAP, the DAP situation during Aquino, right? You were part of the Supreme Court back then, di ba, Justice?
Yeah.
And I remember very well how disappointed I was when, well, God bless his soul, but Pinoy came out and even criticized you guys in Supreme Court. And the justification back then of Butch Abad and all was they wanted to just make sure there's an acceleration of spending kasi marami daw underspending. But they circumvented the power of the purse of the Congress, right? So essentially they usurped constitutional powers there. And of course, you open a can of worms once you usurp such prerogatives and do, like reprogramming or rechanneling. So can we go back to that? Because you were part of the Supreme Court that ruled against Aquino administration. So I'm sorry,
Well,
for fools who want to say this is a partisan issue, it is not. It's a constitutional issue. Could you remind everyone, Justice, of that?
yes, because under the Constitution, the president has the power to transfer savings from one department, from one executive office to another. So what they're doing now is they're saying that the Philhealth funds are savings, but it cannot be savings because we have not enrolled the entire Filipino people, because the Philhealth is a universal health fund. It's for 110 million people, but not maybe 20% are enrolled. So you have not fully used this amount. It cannot be savings. It can be savings if you have fully enrolled everybody and you can provide medicine for everybody and you still have excess funds. But that's not the case. So these are not savings, definitely not savings. So, but they're still transferring it. So illegal na yon. The president cannot transfer from one item to another that which are not savings. So, and where does he transfer it? He transfers it to the DPWH because this is where they lodge the projects of the congressman. And it's only the president who has that power to transfer. Although they ask the Secretary of Finance to issue the directive, but I'm sure the Secretary of Finance had a memorandum from the president to instruct him to do it, because
so wala
I
kang
don't
fall
think
guy
Recto
dyan.
will do it without a directive from the president. So they're
Exactly.
trying to shield the president, but that will not work. Everybody knows it has to come from the president. So you see that's a big problem, and you're talking here of the voters.
Right.
The voters who need medicine and they don't get medicine right now. And you are saying that you have 90 billion savings, but yet there are people who don't get medicine. You have probably enrolled not more than 25% of the population.
It's
So
far
there's a
from
long
universal.
way to go.
Yeah, it's far from universal. And the DOH was a mess during pandemic. They're still in the situation of the Farmali. Yeah, I mean, this is pouring gasoline on
This is,
fire.
if Farmally, this is 10 times, 20 times worse than Farmally. Because Farmally, how much was that?
Billions
12
of pesos
billion?
lang. Oh, yeah.
About 12 billion. This is 90 billion.
Yeah, this is like 6 times, 7 times more. I think the Department of Finance Secretary being an ex-politician and congressman and all might not also help, right? Like, had we had technocratic persons and some sort of plausible deniability, Marcos could have got around it. But he's gonna take the punches for this, and if he doesn't do the right thing, deservingly so, he's gonna take punches for this. You're absolutely right. This will be, kumbaga, ulam yan sa mga Dutertes, di ba? To pin down.
The Dutertes
Ulam
can
talaga
really,
yan. Yeah.
and they will be defending the masa. I mean, they will claim to be the protector of the masa here.
Yeah, Mr. Farmali.
This is terrible. This is going to be a debacle for the administration. But I don't want the administration to be transferring these funds. These belong to the Filipino people.
Yeah, it's wrong. It's and at the same time, it's politically suicidal, if ever. No, if they really,
Yes.
it's wrong.
So
Yeah.
I hope they stop it.
So this could be the big issue in the elections, corruption, essentially.
Yeah, this could overshadow all the other issues. This could
Absolutely.
overshadow the Pogo, this overshadow West Philippine Sea. Very easy for all the other issues to be overshadowed.
Ma-crowd out. And then ma-weaponize ito.
Yeah.
Weaponize
it
ito
is.
ng people who have no right weaponizing this.
Yeah, because if you do this, you are really heartless. I mean, you are really heartless if you deprive the massa of medicine that they need.
And of course, all of this, while we're still debating what on earth is this Maharlika Fund all about, right? Na ang taas-taas ng sahod nung boss ng Maharlika Fund, Sarap Buhay, di ba? We'll talk about Sarap Buhay in different ways later on. But I mean, look at it. Marcos Jr. announced that he has 5,500 new flood control projects and all of that. And the next thing you know, I'm not sure how many flood projects really worked. So I think that reminded people also of corruption, right? I mean, I think a lot of people would say, wait, chine-check ba natin talaga itong mga flood control project or project-projectan lang yan, di ba? I mean, he kind of looked like a fool, no offense to him, but it didn't give him a good look because just a few days later on, massive flooding. Although I don't think the rain was as bad as Ondoy time, but I'm just so Marcos can be pinned down for not only incompetence and lack of assertiveness, but also not cleaning up things when medyo lantaran. What is your read on this, Justice? Na
Yeah,
pwede magkumpul-kumpul yan, di ba? Delikado siya.
Very unfortunate that he was so stressed that there were over 5,000 flood control projects, and a few days later, the country was flooded. Yeah, we were flooded, and it's worse than Ondoy now. So, I mean, that means that all these 5,000 projects are all fake. I mean, you can say that because how could we have this kind of flooding now?
Not in BGC, which has a very good modern system, right? I mean, you saw these videos from BGC.
But BGC is private.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Nakita mo dun sa maayos na area, walang flooding. So that means if you have a nice urban planning and all, walang flooding na mangyayari, di ba? I mean, you're right, Justice. I mean, this could snowball into something very dangerous in next year's elections and really energize the other side. Now, speaking of the other side, I don't know if BBM still wants to insist there's a unity team, but it's quite interesting that Sara Duterte, on the very day na may bagyo, and all of that, she decides to just go abroad. And some people are saying, oh, why Munich? And then some, oh, my concerts is Swifty or whatever. They're connecting the dots. And for all the criticism you can make of BBM, rightly or wrongly, it's not like yung kabila also is being led in the most optimal way. I mean, ganun ba si Sara talaga? I mean, some would call her bratty, some would call her insensitive, but at the same time, Sara Duterte is still the most popular Filipino politician based on the Pulse Asia survey. She has more than 70% approval rating against BBM, who's just over 50%. What is your read of this whole situation?
Well, the survey was before the Karina flood and before that incident where she left on the day of the storm, typhoon. But I think it was, well, we have to accept that she planned it, and nobody knew that the Karina would strike us. No, so it was just a coincidence. I don't think that she intended to run away during the flood. The storm happened, but those are the unfortunate events that happen to you in politics. I mean, those are unforeseen circumstances that just strike you. And some people would say, I know that several presidents traveled abroad when there was a crisis at home, and they came back immediately. They were attending a meeting, a conference
and
abroad.
this is not even an essential visit, last time I checked. And well, I don't know, Justice, because I had arrived just the night before from Europe, and the rain was already bad, and there were already some forecasting about how things could go crazy. Kaya actually, maaga ako pumunta sa airport the next day ng 4 a.m., even though I could have gone. But I still missed my flight, obviously, because the crazy rain. So I don't know. Some people would question yung excuse. They could say you could have rebooked. I mean, you know that things could go crazy. especially if this is a non-essential visit. I don't know what on earth she was doing in Munich. Obviously not the Munich Security Conference, because that's around February, which I attended in the past. So this didn't seem to be a very serious one. So I just felt kasi Lenny Robredo, the ex-VP, coming out very strongly and saying Angat Buhay is very much, gonna help and volunteers are there, etc. That I think kind of may sting siya eh. Galit na galit yung mga pro-Sara people na they were attacking Lenny na back in the day daw nasa New York nang may ganyan-ganyan bagyo sa... But that was a completely different situation because she was already in New York few days into that crisis. But this is different. So essentially you had this whole Angat Buhay versus Sarap Buhay attacks, di ba?
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that maybe it's unfair na talagang maybe
Yeah,
she genuinely didn't know it's gonna be that bad.
Yeah, there was no really intention, but it happens. In politics, you fly abroad and something catastrophic happens back at home, and you have to fly back to show to the people you're concerned. And that was her mistake. She did not fly back. You have to really drop everything and fly back. Her mistake was not to leave. Her mistake was that she did not fly back.
Although may sinabi silang may statement sila na something like parang she only had travel authority charot so she couldn't come. Parang I don't even know how to regurgitate the argument. It's just so ridiculous na parang ano ba, parang yun lang daw yung travel authority niya na hindi siya makaano, like I don't know. She could have at least live stream and say, guys, hi guys, I'm here. Don't worry, we're coordinating. Hindi, wala eh. Next thing we know, biglang lumitaw sa Munich, tapos may meeting, busy daw. Parang busy doing what? Diba?
Well, those are the events that happen in your political career, and sometimes you just make a mistake. I mean, you make the wrong call, and you will lose voters, you lose votes. You try to recover, but it's also the timing. It can happen near the election, and there's no time to recover. So I think she made a bad call in not coming back immediately.
I want to ask you this, Justice, because again, sorry, putting on, but you're from Davao, so a part of me is still skeptical that her numbers will significantly go down after this or any. Parang feeling ko sobrang solid na yung base niya eh. Because if you look at her numbers in Mindanao, it's almost 100%, 95. Her numbers in Visayas is around 80+%. It looks like the Vismin vote is just so crystallized that almost regardless of what Sara does, the Dutertes will have a national say. They will be a force to reckon with, right? I mean, or am I overestimating them? I just always... Yun nga, like many people were saying, ito na, pababa na yung numbers na. And then umakyat siya ulit. And then, I just think we have to accept the Dutertes really have a solid base na halos hindi mawawala yan. Yung solid South na yan, mahirap mawawalan yan. Kaya nga walang room for mistake masyado si BBM or yung mga kalaban nila. And hindi ka pwede umasa sa mga mistakes nila to bring them. I mean, you tell me, Justice, because for me, the biggest question is actually, how come the Dutertes became the dominant force in Davao? Of all people from Davao, including great guys like you and many people I know from Davao, na extremely different. I mean, Nograles, for all their imperfections, it's night and day. You look at the credentials, walang brat sa kanila, they're all best educated schools, matinong kausap. How come Duterte came to dominate Davao? And now, how come they're so solid in terms of their base of support? What's the explanation to you? I wrote a whole book.
There is only one reason for their strong base: confidential funds. Because the President Duterte invented that. When Sara left office as mayor, her confidential fund was about 450 billion.
Sarap,
pesos
sarap buhay
year.
talaga, sarap buhay.
Yeah. Confidential funds means that she can do what she wants. In 11 days, she can spend everything. Just saying, I hereby certify.
But so, Justice, she cannot rebook. She can rebook her flight, but she can spend in 11 days. Yun lang, ang galing gumastos, pero hindi makarebook. Di ba?
So with that, you can employ all the barangay chairs, the children of barangay chair, the spouses of the barangay will all be in, you can employ them as your casual. So you will never lose in a barangay.
Very
All the
liquid.
kagawads are in the payroll, their wives, their children, and that's the secret. That's why when she became vice president, she wanted her own confidential fund. Rennie didn't have a confidential fund. So they see the confidential fund as the strength,
The lifeblood
their
of
pillar.
Dutertismo.
So
Yes.
if you remove that, they will run amok. And when the Congress remove it, that's exactly what she did. So it's because of the confidential fund. And unfortunately, the other cities are trying to emulate Davao. Makati, the mayor has about 60 to 80 million already, and Quezon City, they have also confidential
Sarapuhay.
funds of 60 to 80 million. And and can you just imagine if all the mayors will have a confidential fund? They can never be defeated. That is worse than political dynasties. I mean, that is why my group filed that case in the Supreme Court. Because
A confidential fund,
unless,
Sarah.
yeah, unless this is stopped, we're in deep shit here. It's really,
It's the first time I hear you using it. But you're right, Justice. I mean, this is the lifeblood of Trapoismo, di ba?
yeah. So if this happens, because how is the budget of the city approved? The budget of the municipality approved? It's the council, city council, that will approve it. So if the city council will give you 500 million pesos in confidential fund, you'll be happy to give each of the councilor who voted for it 25 million. So it's really the biggest scam now. This is worse than the